Russian President Vladimir Putin received an update from top army generals at an undisclosed command center about the strategies to counter Ukrainian forces that invaded the Kursk region earlier this month. RT correspondent Igor Zdanov has more details on the situation on Kursk region.
Russian Defense Ministry sure do sound significant. They do continue to provide information, to update the information as to how they are dealing with Ukraine's border incursion. And this comes as the United States has announced that they will be providing more than $125 million worth of aid to Kiev. This includes a variety of weapons, of ammunition, of missiles, and missiles both including for like tank rounds, for multiple launch rocket systems, especially American-made multiple launch rocket systems like HIMARS. Now, the thing about the HIMARS MLRS, basically Ukraine throughout, since the beginning of this conflict, since they got the first system of this kind, they have been very careful as to how they've been using those so that they do not lose too many to Russia's counterfire. But here, they have been losing such systems with a pace that they had not previously experienced and seen. And the Russian Defense Ministry, it has been very well happy to flaunt their success when they have been targeting and successfully hitting HIMARS multiple launch rocket systems. At the same time, the United States, they seem to have basically put themselves on a path of escalation here, as they've been gradually explaining that they do indeed greenlight Kiev hitting Russian, internationally recognized Russian soil with American-made long-range missiles, and they have hinted that other options could be on the table too.
They are allowed to use U.S.-provided material to defend themselves against Russian aggression. And as you know, the president allowed them to use U.S. munitions across that border to deal with imminent threats. But we're still having conversations with them. I have no policy leanings one way or another to speak to today, and certainly no new policy decisions that have been made.
The United States, they're not alone in this boat. They have been relying heavily on Europe, both the United States and Kiev, and the EU, that also has failed to condemn Kiev's operation here in the Kursk region. The EU has been saying from the get-go that they do indeed support Ukraine, that they support Ukraine's efforts to defend itself. This is how they put it. And now the European Union is also seems to be taking the same road of escalation.
What is going to happen to Ukraine will determine also our geopolitical future. And we have to think about Ukraine putting ourselves in the game. We are part of the game. We are not part of the war, but we are part of the conflict. And the way the conflict will be solved will affect our peace and security.
Elsewhere, especially in the Donetsk region, Ukraine is failing, and Ukraine is failing quite badly, and it has already lost some key tactical points and logistical towns that played a major role in Ukraine's logistics. And Russia is advancing very quickly in the Donetsk region, and so many are asking the question as to whether or not those units that are used and that are currently embroiled in the fighting here in the Kursk region, that maybe they could see a better use in the Donetsk region, on the territory that Ukraine considers its own. Because over there, the Ukrainians have been on the back burner. They have been retreating, and basically the front there is very close to what one might describe as collapsing. And Russia has been moving in strides, as Ukraine has had to. It has to evacuate town after town after town to provide safety for their civilians as Russia advances and continues to liberate more territory.